11, so I'll invite you to speak. We have heard from your colleagues about, from your conservative colleagues, their views on the other Russia, on Russia as an empire. What's your opinion about Russia? Is it empire? How do you see the future of Russia or post-Russia?
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, and I think it's really useful to see these historic parallels. And I don't think the problem of the Austro-Hungarian Empire was that it was an empire. The problem was that it was not democracy. There is, you know, if you go to the parliament, you see where they were sitting together, but they were fighting with knives and not with words, and that was part of the problems, but many others. What I see about Russia, again, the problem with Russia for me is not that it's a big country. The problem is that it's a cruel, not autocracy, a cruel dictatorship with an incredible racism. That's something which wasn't mentioned yet. It's incredible racism to say the Russians are the better ones and the other peoples are worse and they are not worth living. That's what they say about the Ukrainians right now. And if I'm right, it's 190 different peoples living in Russia, with the problem for the Russians that right now they are 82% of the population. They used to be 82% of the population, now they're 71% of the population. So the Russian population in Russia is decreasing, and that makes Putin probably even more aggressive, and also the Russian Orthodox Church. Whatever I hear from Kirill and those so-called priests, they are not Christians at all. They are servants of a dictatorship, and we know about Kirill, he's a KGB man, and that for me is so dangerous. And then there is the question now, what will be a post-Russia? I always remind when François Mitterrand had his last speech in the European Parliament, the famous sentence, "Le nationalisme, c'est la guerre." And that's what we know. So when I look at this map here, I'm very careful to see national states, probably with atomic weapons. There are 5,500 atomic weapons now in Russia. National states hating each other with weapons, we know what would be the outcome. I think this is really dangerous. So the question is, what can we do? I think we cannot, the first thing is to fight Russia, to say we will conquer Moscow and then everything will be better. We know from history that's stupid and that's wrong and that will not work. Second thing, of course, we have to help all those Russian people who want to change the regime. I know how difficult it is, again, within the different groups, but I think that is very important. Third thing is, they are doing a lot of disinformation towards Western Europe. Why don't we do more information in the direction of Russian people? Explain to them what the liberal democracy means. A liberal democracy means wealth. And as you said, it's very easy to prove. Europe after World War II was divided. On the one hand, we had the Marshall Plan. Even in Austria, we tend to forget that the Americans helped us a lot and how important that was. We had the Marshall Plan. I was born in '55. I was born in a middle-class family, and there were many things which are normal today we did not have. But there was no hunger, and we were not poor. At the same time, people in Hungary and in other areas, they were poor because they did not have the Marshall Plan. So, and that's my next point. What was the mistake of the West after 1989, 1990? We thought if they will get capitalism, they will get democracy. And it was a huge mistake also by those the guys in America, these economists, they said, you know, everything we have to do, build up capitalism, then it will be democracy. No, it did not work. As we see, it was, now we have the oligarchs there, and we have some rich people and many poor people, but we don't have democracy again. So that's the next thing which we have, I think we have to learn. And I will conclude, because I always follow now, coming back to Russian racism, which I think is really very dangerous. Because a part of racism is then the aggressive racism toward Ukraine, but probably also towards Europe. And that's what this famous so-called Putin's philosopher Alexander Dugin says. He says those countries in Europe, they have to be neutral or ours. And then they have friends. They have friends like Viktor Orban, he's on their side. And I think this also we have to watch very carefully. and we have to be more open and more honest toward Orban and his people. If you really keep on being Putin's slave, Xi Jinping's slave, you cannot remain in the European Union anymore. I think the real answer after World War II, and I go my head through all those people who were involved, because it's incredible. 5 years after this incredible war with so many dead people, and after the Holocaust, French and Germans were coming together and say we don't do it ever again, and it's working, and it's working. Again, why is it working? Because we have a union, because we know what minorities means. In the case of South Tyrol, it took decades, but now we know how we treat minorities. We have to deal minorities with all the dignity, like other people, any minorities, not any minorities. That's also part of a liberal democracy, and it's a union, it's not nationalism. This is the answer. And it's so difficult to explain to people who probably cannot understand well. But with all the money we're spending in Europe, why don't we spend more money to inform in Russian and all the other language these people to understand what is our recipe for a better life? And they also could have it, but they have to change. We cannot change it for them. Thank you very much.